Hello everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into the world of phrasal verbs, and I've selected 3 particularly useful ones that will add more depth and fluency to your English communication. These are iron out, take in, and turn in. Let's begin with the expression iron out. This phrasal verb is typically used when we're discussing the resolution of minor difficulties or misunderstandings. It originates from the basic action of ironing clothes. Imagine a shirt that is full of creases or wrinkles. When you use an iron, your goal is to smooth out those lines and create a neat, clean surface. In the same way, when people iron out issues or complications, they are smoothing over problems in a situation, discussion, or plan to create clarity and agreement. For example, if 2 colleagues are disagreeing about a project detail, they might sit down and talk to iron out the details so everyone is on the same page. It's a subtle but powerful phrase to suggest working through something to remove friction or confusion. Now let's explore the phrasal verb take in. This expression is quite versatile and can be applied in several contexts. One of the more literal uses relates to clothing. Imagine you've gone through a major lifestyle change and lost a significant amount of weight. Your clothes, especially your pants or dresses, may no longer fit properly. In this case, you might take your clothing to a tailor and ask them to take it in, which means to adjust the garment to make it smaller and better fitting. You might say, "I need these pants taken in because they've become too loose." It's a practical use of the phrase and very relevant in daily life. On the flip side, though we won't go into detail today, there's the opposite concept, where clothing needs to be made larger, and that would be letting it out, which we can discuss another time. Moving on, taken also appears in situations involving caregiving or compassion. For instance, imagine finding a stray dog wandering outside without anyone to care for it. If you decide to bring that dog into your home and provide food, shelter, and affection, you are taking it in. The same applies if a neighbor's pet needs temporary housing or if you adopt an animal in need. This use of take in reflects kindness and responsibility, showing how phrasal verbs are deeply connected to human values and actions. There's another important dimension to take in that involves the mind. When we're exposed to a lot of new or complex information, we might feel overwhelmed and need a moment to fully process what we've heard or read. In such cases, it's common to say something like, "Give me a second to take all this in." Here, the meaning is about absorbing and understanding the content. Whether you're reading a complicated article, watching a thought-provoking documentary, or listening to a long explanation, taking in information means comprehending and mentally organizing it. This is particularly useful in both academic and workplace settings where fast thinking and deep understanding are essential. Now let's shift to our final phrasal verb, turn in. One of its most familiar uses relates to submitting something, often within an academic or professional environment. If you've completed a report, an assignment, or an important application, you may be required to turn it in to your teacher, your supervisor, or a potential employer. It's another way of saying submit or hand over, and it carries a formal yet commonly understood tone. For example, if a student has finished their essay, the teacher might say, "Please turn in your papers by the end of the day." It's a very standard and polite request. But that's not the only way we use turn in. Another everyday use refers to going to bed. When someone says, "I think I'll turn in," they mean they are ready to go to sleep. It's a slightly more polite or even old-fashioned way of expressing the idea that they're calling it a night. It's useful when you want to express tiredness without being too blunt. For example, after a long day, you might tell your family or friends, "I'm going to turn in now," and they'll understand that you're heading to bed. So through these 3 phrasal verbs, iron out, take in, and turn in, you've seen how English expressions can carry both literal and figurative meanings depending on the context. These kinds of verbs enrich your vocabulary and give you more precise and natural ways to express a wide range of situations, from problem-solving and communication to caring, understanding, and resting. Keep practicing them in different contexts to become more fluent and confident. The more you expose yourself to phrasal verbs in real conversations, books, and media, the more naturally they will come to you in your own speaking and writing. That's all for today's practice, and I look forward to sharing more useful expressions with you soon.